What if I told you there's one type of carb that actually helps reverse type 2 diabetes? I know. You've been told to avoid carbs completely. Cut them out. They're the enemy. But here's the thing. There's one carb that's different. It doesn't spike your blood sugar. Instead, it makes your body more sensitive to insulin. And if you have type 2 diabetes, you need to know about this. And I help people with type 2 diabetes achieve remission naturally. No medications, no gimmicks, just science-based strategies that actually work. Today, we're talking about resistant starch. This is probably the most misunderstood carbohydrate in the diabetes world. Most people have never heard of it, but the research is incredible. In fact, one study showed that people who ate resistant starch for just 12 weeks improved their insulin sensitivity by 33%. That's better than most diabetes medications. So stick around. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what resistant starch is, why it works, and how to use it safely to improve your blood sugar control. All right, let's start with the basics. What is resistant starch? Resistant starch is exactly what it sounds like. It's starch that resists digestion in your small intestine. Instead of being broken down into glucose like regular starch, it passes through to your large intestine completely intact. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Once resistant starch reaches your colon, your gut bacteria start feasting on it. This process creates something called short-chain fatty acids. These include butyrate, propionate, and acetate. And these short-chain fatty acids are absolute game changers for people with diabetes. Think of resistant starch as food for your good bacteria. When you feed them properly, they produce compounds that help your body become more sensitive to insulin. It's like upgrading your metabolic software. Your body literally becomes better at processing glucose. But here's what most people don't realize. There are actually 4 different types of resistant starch, and only 2 of them are really worth your attention if you have diabetes. Let me break down the 4 types for you. Type 1 is found in whole grains, seeds, and legumes. It's physically trapped by fiber and protein, so your digestive enzymes can't reach it. Type 2 is found in raw potatoes, green bananas, and plantains. This is the most studied type for diabetes benefits. Type 3 is created when you cook and then cool starchy foods like potatoes, rice, and pasta. The cooling process allows the starch molecules to reorganize into a resistant form. Type 4 is chemically modified starches found in processed foods. Skip these completely. They don't offer the same benefits. For diabetes reversal, you want to focus on types 2 and 3. These are the ones that consistently show benefits in research studies. And I'm going to show you exactly how to get them in your diet in just a minute. But first, let me explain why resistant starch works so well for diabetes. Most people think insulin resistance only happens in your muscles and liver, but that's not true. It also happens in your gut. When you eat resistant starch, several things happen in your body. First, your gut bacteria produce more butyrate. Butyrate is like rocket fuel for your intestinal cells. It helps repair your gut lining and reduces inflammation throughout your body. Less inflammation means better insulin sensitivity. Second, your liver starts producing less glucose. The short-chain fatty acids from resistant starch send signals to your liver to dial down glucose production. This is why many people see lower fasting blood sugar after adding resistant starch to their diet. Third, your muscles become more efficient at using glucose. Research shows that resistant starch increases something called GLUT4 transporters in your muscle cells. These are basically the doors that let glucose enter your muscles instead of staying in your bloodstream. One study published in Diabetes Care followed people for 12 weeks. They consumed 40 grams of resistant starch daily. Their insulin sensitivity improved by 33%. Their fasting blood sugar dropped. Their post-meal blood sugar spikes were smaller. That's the power of resistant starch. Now, let's talk about the best sources. These are the foods I recommend to my clients who want to add resistant starch to their diet. Number 1, cooked and cooled potatoes. One medium potato that's been cooked and cooled overnight contains about 4 to 5 grams of resistant starch. The cooling process is crucial. It allows the starch to crystallize into the resistant form. Number 2, green bananas, a medium. Green banana has about 12 to 15 grams of resistant starch. As bananas ripen, the resistant starch converts to regular starch, so greener is better. Number 3, cooked and cooled white rice. 1 cup of cooked rice that's been cooled contains about 1 to 2 grams of resistant starch. Not huge amounts, but every bit helps. Number 4. Legumes. Black beans, lentils, and chickpeas are excellent sources. A half cup serving provides 2 to 4 grams of resistant starch. Number 5. Raw potato starch. This is the most concentrated source. 1 tablespoon contains about 8 grams of resistant starch. You can mix this into smoothies or sprinkle it on food. But here's the thing. You can't just start eating large amounts of these foods. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this. This is where most people mess up. They think, great, I can eat potatoes and rice again, and they go overboard. Here's my protocol for adding resistant starch safely. First, start small. Begin with 5 to 10 grams per day. Your gut bacteria need time to adjust. Too much too fast leads to gas, bloating, and digestive discomfort. Second, time it right. Eat resistant starch with meals that contain protein and fat. This slows digestion and prevents blood sugar spikes from any regular starch that might be present. Third, monitor your response. Check your blood sugar 2 hours after eating resistant starch foods. Everyone responds differently, so you need to track your individual response. Fourth, make sure it's completely cool. If you're using cooked and cooled starches, they need to be completely cool. Reheating destroys the resistant starch structure. Fifth, be patient. The insulin sensitivity benefits take 2 to 4 weeks to show up. Don't expect overnight miracles. Here's what I recommend for week 1. Add 1 teaspoon of raw potato starch to a protein smoothie daily. Check your blood sugar response. Week 2, if it's tolerated well, increase to 1 tablespoon of raw potato starch. Or try 1/4 of a cooked and cooled potato with dinner. Week 3 and 4, continue monitoring and slowly increase if your blood sugar remains stable. Track everything. Log your food, blood sugar readings, and how you feel. This data will help you optimize your approach. Now, let me tell you about the biggest mistake I see people make. Someone reads about resistant starch, gets excited, and immediately starts eating large portions of potatoes and rice. Their blood sugar spikes. They panic and assume resistant starch doesn't work for them. The problem, they're eating too much regular starch along with the resistant starch. Remember, even cooked and cooled potatoes still contain regular starch. A large potato might have 4 grams of resistant starch, but it also has 30 plus grams of regular starch. Start with small portions, 1/4 of a medium potato, 2 tablespoons of cooked and cooled rice. Work up gradually as your blood sugar control improves. Another mistake is not cooling the food properly. The resistant starch forms during the cooling process. If you reheat the food, you destroy the resistant starch structure. Cook it, cool it completely, then eat it cold or at room temperature. I've been recommending resistant starch to my clients for 3 years now. The results consistently surprise me. Sarah, a 58-year-old teacher, saw her fasting blood sugar drop from 145 to 118 milligrams per deciliter. She added 2 tablespoons of raw potato starch to her morning smoothie for 6 weeks. Mike, a 62-year-old retiree, reduced his post-meal blood sugar spikes by an average of 23 points. He incorporated cooked and cooled potatoes into his lunch routine. The key is consistency and patience. These people didn't see results overnight, but after 4 to 6 weeks of consistent use, their blood sugar control improved significantly. Now, before you run out and start eating resistant starch, there are a few important warnings. First, start slowly. I cannot emphasize this enough. Too much too fast will cause digestive issues. Gas, bloating, cramping. It's not dangerous, but it's uncomfortable. Second, monitor your blood sugar closely. While resistant starch generally improves blood sugar control, everyone is different. Some people are more sensitive than others. Third, don't use this as an excuse to eat unlimited carbs. Resistant starch is a tool, not a free pass to eat whatever you want. Fourth, if you're on diabetes medication, work with your healthcare provider. As your insulin sensitivity improves, you may need medication adjustments. So, here's what I want you to do. If you want to try resistant starch, start with 1 teaspoon of raw potato starch mixed into a protein smoothie. Do this for 1 week while monitoring your blood sugar. If your blood sugar remains stable and you don't experience digestive issues, increase to 1 tablespoon in week 2. Track everything: food, blood sugar readings, how you feel. This data is crucial for optimizing your approach. Remember, Resistant starch isn't a magic bullet. It's one tool in your diabetes reversal toolkit. Combined with the right diet, exercise, and lifestyle changes, it can be incredibly powerful. But like everything else in diabetes management, individual responses vary. What works for one person might not work for another. The only way to know if resistant starch will help you is to try it systematically and track your results.